Hi everyone, thank you for visiting my presentation. My name is John Espinosa and today I will present you some results about the work entitled Effective Property of Multilaminate Cosserat Elastic Composite with Quasi-Periodic Structure. This is a joint work with the authors Reinaldo Rodríguez Ramos, César Pide Sánchez Valdés, Héctor Camacho Montes, and Pante Rodríguez Bermúdez. As well report, defining restriction to periodic geometric microstructures in composite material implies strong limitations and are not frequent in engineering application or in nature. In practical application, a wide range of composite material have non-periodic, quasi-periodic, or even random structures. For example, granulate, porous, and Mansouri-like materials, among others. In general, quasi-periodic structures show the perfect long-range structural ordering between periodic and disordered media. In this framework, different micromechanical models implemented for quasi-periodic or random structure have adopted Fibonacci, to Morse, and other sequences, random probability distribution, among others, to characterize the behavior of such structures. In particular, application of quasi-periodic Fibonacci structures into the mechanics of solid and composite material are reported. For example, they are implemented to study the magnetic property of metallic magnetic structures with ultrafine laminate that grow following the Fibonacci sequence. Also, they are used to analyze the plasmon polariton propagation in concrete and so on. In this work, we study micropolar elastic media characterized by a distribution of layers according to the Fibonacci sequence. Let's look at the fundamental equation of this micropolar media. What is a micropolar elasticity? Micropolar elasticity is defined as a generalization of classical elasticity which incorporates 3 additional degrees of freedom, called microrotation, to describe the local reorientation of the microstructure. Here we find the fundamental equation of this micropolar media, and the constitutive equation are given by these 3 equations, where sigma and U represent the stress and coupled stress tensor, C, B, and D are the stiffness, torque, and coupling moduli. The tensor E and C represents the strain and coupled strain tensor, and U and omega are the displacement and microrotation of the media. As mentioned before, here we consider a multilayer elastic micropolar composite. The cross-section of the periodic cell is characterized by a laminated structure of the micropolar composite. See this picture. It consists a periodic repetition of layer A and B, which is defined according to the n order of the Fibonacci sequence. Here we find 3 different cells according to the steps of the Fibonacci sequence. So, the Fibonacci sequence with initial terms B and A is defined according to the recursive relations and following the initial conditions for the Fibonacci steps. Then, applying the two-scale asymptotic homogenization method by means of asymptotic expansions of displacement and microrotation, we can find the local problems on the set. They are defined by partial differential equation subject to continuity condition for the acting field on the interface gamma between the layer, null average condition for the local function, and periodicity of the pseudo-displacement and pseudo-microrotation in order to guarantee a unicity of the solution. On the other hand, the effective property, the stiffness, and torque effective property are defined as shown. They are functions of the pseudo-displacement and pseudo micro-rotation, as can be seen. Then, in particular, if we consider centrosymmetric laminate Cosserat composite with isotropic constituents, we can prove that the stiffness and torque effective property are defined by these expressions. And for multilamellar micropolar elastic composite with centrosymmetry and isotropic constituent, the non-null effective stiffness property are these 9 properties, which are defined according to the equations given here. The corresponding non-null effective torque property I define in a similar form, but replacing D for C. Also, in this effective property, the average operator is defined, as can be seen, where A and B are the constitutive materials, and B is the volume fraction of the media. In the case that N is bigger, the average operator converge to the operator of a two-layer structure characterized by a Fibonacci-Gordon number, whose constituent has thicknesses defined as you can see. Well, as a sample, we illustrate some numerical results. The numerical simulations in this work were conducted for different periodic centrosymmetric bilaminate Cosserat composite whose constituent materials are defined in this table. Here, lambda, mu, alpha are the Lamé coefficients, Lamé shear modulus, and Cosserat coupling modulus. Beta, gamma, and epsilon, and bar epsilon are the Cosserat twist coefficients. Okay? In this frame, we show the variation of the effective stiffness moduli as a function of the ratio between the thicknesses of layer A and B for 6 different periodic cells with a Fibonacci structure. F2 represents a biphase composite material, F3, 4, 5, and 6, and the goal are other periodic cells with a different structure of Fibonacci. Note that for the cell with F2 structure, the line in blue, the composite corresponds to a biphase laminate periodic medium. In this case, the effective properties are weakened than when we assume other Fibonacci sequences for all radius between the thickness of A and B, and the properties are in general monotonic in the word interval. However, for the effective torques, different behaviors are observed. The most strengthened properties are found for an F2 structure, and a decreasing for all properties are observed except for D1122 and D1133. It can be noticed that D1122 and D1133 are always negative and increasing. In all cases, it can be observed that as higher order of the Fibonacci sequence are assumed, the effective property agree with those corresponding to a periodic medium, which is a Gore structure for all thickness ratio between A and B. These behaviors are independent for the laminate structure of the period. Finally, as a conclusion, we present 6 highlights that summarize the main contribution of the present work. Thank you for visiting my presentation. Any questions? Thanks again. Goodbye.